Welcome to today's executive briefing, where we'll cover the leadership multiplier, how to build a self-managing team. And this one is pretty impactful, in my opinion, because this is a value lever that we'll explore that buyers increasingly prioritize. And we don't think about it in terms of when someone's selling their company, that a buyer would be interested in leadership as a multiplier. But leadership is tied to culture. And an unhealthy culture essentially equates to a less valuable business. So we'll look at leadership depth as well as team independence in this particular executive briefing. So just a little bit about eXitSystems as we set the stage. And we focus on helping companies become owner independent. So go from owner dependent to investment grade. We help business owners build scalable, transferable, sellable companies. And the whole idea here is that we reduce dependency on the founder, on the owner, on the CEO, the executives of the company. And what that does is that it attracts premium buyers and also maximizes valuation. And it's not just about the sale of the company, but it also presents an opportunity of optionality. It may simply be that the owners, the founders, if they simply want to build and grow their company, scale their company. And we help them do that. But at the same time, we also lay a foundation that they have the option to sell because they have such an attractive company that they've now built. So the way eXitSystems works, the transformation platform itself, looks at really 3 stages. First stage is we do an assessment, and we use a diagnostic tool to do that. That's AI driven. And it measures the current performance of the company, the scalability of the company, as well as their exit readiness. And then number 2, we accelerate that by implementing targeted strategies that boost valuation and multipliers. And then finally, we activate exit. And what that really means is that the company or the owners, they understand, what they or who they would like to sell to. So we help them prepare for whether it's an M&A event, private equity, ESOP, IPO, or whatever it may be. We help them understand what their options are in order to sell their business. And then there are 5 key pillars that are part of eXitSystems that we focus on. And that's growth, business growth and scalability, operational efficiency and systemization, leadership and team development, financial health and valuation enhancement, exit strategy, and wealth optimization. And today's session ties directly into leadership and team development, one of the highest impact value levers in the exit process. So with that said, I want the panel to introduce themselves. Our guest panelist is also a strategic partner with eXitSystems, and Mark. Mark, I always say your name incorrectly, your last name.
Iorio, it's really
right?
easy.
Iorio, right?
Iorio, yeah.
Iorio.
Yep.
I always say Iorio, it's Iorio.
Iorio, yep.
I'll get it right one day. I've only known
like the cookie, but the I in front of it. That's it.
Oh, now we'll always remember. So thank you for that. But Mark is our guest panelist today. We also have Michael here with us, who is a strategic partner. He's also on the panel. But we have Mark because Mark is our specialist as it relates to leadership and team engagement. And what he does, and he'll explain it, but what he does, he focuses on ensuring that the culture of a company ties to the brand. and that everyone is rowing in the right direction, as he likes to say. So I'm sure he'll explain more about that. But thanks to all the guests that are here. And my name is Charles Dentz. I am the founder and CEO of eXitSystems, and I will be your moderator for today. So Mark, introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it. It was a very kind introduction. So yes, I've been working on culture and team engagement, team alignment for the last almost 30 years. And what it is a process that we use at eXitSystems that gets teams and individuals to imagine their group or their entire team as though it were a single person doing its best work on its best day. We have a proprietary software and survey instrument that we designed and developed a number of years ago that is based on a 4-factor model, largely based on the research that Carl Jung did back in the 1920s and 30s on personality archetypes, but we've crafted it into a team archetype model. So basically what we do is we get everyone in the organization to take the survey. It's thinking about their team as though it were a single person doing its best work on its best day. They answer the questions. They fit into specific categories, behavioral categories. And by and large, what we attempt to do at that point is to get everyone metaphorically to get into the boat and row not just in the same direction, but in the right direction. So it's a great process. It takes time. It's like working out. It's like dieting. It's an ongoing process. It's behavioral change and getting the culture of the organization to migrate toward the brand promise or the North Star of the organization. So without purpose, it's just like all of us. I mean, we have all had mentors in our lives, people that we've loved and cared for and met and have been mentors to us. Ideally, what we're trying to do is to build that purpose for the team or the department or the organization that we all collectively work for. And get everyone to pull together, make a promise to change 1 or 2 things each day to help me become a better part of this culture that I'm trying to migrate toward this North Star. So it's a wonderful process. I'm not suggesting that it's easy, but it is a worthwhile process. So what it does too is, besides all these metrics that Charles is talking about, those 18 levers that change the basis of the organization, the value of the organization, is that it helps every single person become a better version of themselves, which makes the team become a better version of itself. So again, it takes time, it takes effort, but it's well worth the investment. You break down silos, you increase collaboration, which helps in the emergence of middle manager leaders come out of the organization. So today we're talking about leadership and leadership development. And oftentimes when you're in these workshops and you're having conversations with folks, and the CEO is in the same room as a person who is in administration, they get to hear day by day the purpose that the CEO is bringing forth, and collectively what that means for the entire organization. So you start to see people lead and come out of emerge out of that middle market, and that's how we build those leaders. Great process.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Mark. That in-depth overview. It paints a really great picture of the value of having the middle managers rise and be integral into the overall performance of a company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Michael, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Michael Neal. I'm a strategic partner with a company called Schooley Mitchell, and glad to be part of the eXitSystems ecosystem. working collectively with Charles and Mark and the other strategic partners within eXitSystems, really to help our clients boost their valuation, get ready for sale, and at multiples higher than they ever would have imagined. So really happy to be here. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Michael. And Michael and Larry were our guests last month. So yeah, go back and on our website, we have a page that has all of our previous recordings. So we invite everyone to go back and to listen to those. So I want to ask a few questions, and we'll see where this leads us. But the first question, Mark, what are the most common leadership risks buyers flag during diligence, and how can they be addressed before going to market?
I missed the middle part of that question, Charles. I'm sorry.
So what are the most common leadership risks buyers flag during?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of times when buyers look at a leadership team, we're working on a program right now where it looks like the org chart has the leader in the middle and everyone surrounding him. Very, very difficult to deal with. So oftentimes it's just one person leading the charge, and it's the entrepreneur who started the business. They can't let go, some micromanagement issues or some control issues. And with eXitSystems, we not only uncover that, but we help build that next tier to eliminate that single point of contact in the organization.
And why is that a risk from a buyer perspective?
Well, I mean, what happens oftentimes, the buyer will look at it and say, geez, if something, God forbid, happened to the leader of the organization, there's no backup. There's no one there to lead this organization. I come in and I'm buying the organization. I'm buying the IP, the intellectual property of the company, not just this person. So if something happens with this person where they become less enthused about running the business, or they fall on hard times physically or mentally or whatever, we're kind of stuck. We don't have any optionality there to look to the next level of leaders in the organization.
So you said IP. So what am I hearing by you saying that as far as this key person dependency and their interaction with the IP?
Yeah, oftentimes, I mean, I've seen it a lot, that the leader, the president of the company is, everything is largely dependent on him or her, and all of the intellectual property is inside their brains, and that they've been unwilling in the past to share it. And one of the things we encourage is to get that knowledge transfer going, so that at some point you may not have all the information the leader has. You may not need all the information the leader has. But if the leader is going to bottle all that information up and not knowledge transfer or knowledge share that information with others, we're going to end up with no IP if the leader goes.
Cool. Michael, you have any insight?
Yeah, I'd take y'all off mute. I have to put a quarter into the pot now. I think having that, with getting to the crux, as I understand the crux of your question, is the buyers want to make sure they're buying a business. They're not buying a person, and there is some form of whatever they call leadership planning or succession planning, not only at the top levels of the organization, but throughout the organization. And as Mark mentioned earlier, that stems from a very healthy corporate culture. People understand what to do and why. They are using the same playbook. I mean, we're getting into the heart of preseason for NFL. I'm sure there's some football fans who are either live with us right now or who are going to be watching this on replay. And the best run teams understand what everybody's supposed to be doing. Who are the leaders? Who are the followers? How are they supposed to execute? And that's why the best teams are the most successful. The same thing can translate into the business world. Making sure that that culture is set, that people know what they need to do, how they need to do it, where they need to go, and when. And that eliminates what Mark talked about, that type of key person dependency, that person that's in the middle of an organization, everyone runs around them, compared to a typical organizational chart, that is.
Nice. Yeah, and what I hear by what you guys are saying is that when there's a key person dependency, particularly as a company scales or as a company grows, or they become a larger company, it really can become a toxic culture versus a healthy culture. So yeah, I really appreciate that answer. That leads me to my next question, because how do elite companies develop leadership depth, without adding additional layers of bureaucracy and slowing execution?
I would say it's not just elite companies. I would say any company could do this, whether you feel that they are elite or not elite. Any company needs to, I would say, they invest in the mission, the vision, and the corporate values that matter. They empower their folks to really understand what they need to do and why. Think about Simon Sinek's, it all starts with why. That's a good thing for an individual. It's a good thing for an organization. Mark leads a company, I'm sure he can go into more detail, where he has actually you touched upon it earlier, your whole BCAT model, Mark. Maybe you want to dive into that a little bit more, where whether you go in at BCAT Light or BCAT Advanced, that allows companies to become that elite cultural model you're talking about, Charles, to go through that exercise. And it's the type of thing that's been proven over and over and over again for companies to set themselves straight and get ready for what happens next. And by going through BCAT, organizations come out on top. They become those winners. Mark, do you want to talk a little bit more about the different some BCAT success stories, because I love hearing them.
Thank you. And Daryl has a question too, so I want to get into that in a second. But the elite organizations that we work with through our process, the brand and culture alignment technology process, that's part of eXitSystems, is getting each individual. So there are behavioral modalities that everyone aspires to once we understand who we are when we're doing our best work on our best day. And once you feel empowered by having an accountability partner, you make a promise, you say, I want to do this to become a better version of myself. You could take the football analogy and say that, look, currently I'm a fullback, but they need me at tight end. And how am I going to play tight end if I don't know the plays, if I don't know the cadence, if I don't know where I'm supposed to be on the field? And so as a coach, what we're supposed to do is work with each of them to become, that team becomes better because I've got two fullbacks, now I need a tight end. And I'm going to move that person over to the other side. And that's going to make us collectively better. So when people, and from an emotional intelligence perspective, start to see that, they see those talents, they see those skill sets, and the only way they're going to do that is by open and honest and communication with people, so that I know that this person is interested in moving to another position, and I will do everything I can as a manager, leader, coach, to get that person to reach their potential, right? So whatever it is it schooling? Is it a skill enhancement? Whatever it might be, I need to be there for them. And that's how the elite teams and that's how the elite organizations win, because they recognize that first through emotional intelligence, and then they help that person aspire to that next level. When you don't have that, you've got people that are infighting.
Yeah, infighting is never good. So Daryl, does that answer?
Yes. Yeah. So thank you for that, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I love that answer because at the end of the day, the last thing you said about infighting, it goes back again to whether or not it's a healthy organization or not. And infighting is never a sign of health. And it becomes a disease, becomes a cancer, and it just spreads. And sometimes on the surface, it seems as though everything is just fine, but behind the scenes, there's sabotage and people fighting against each other, and certainly not, as you say, not rowing in the right direction. So,
Yep.
All right. So another question: how does a founder, owner, CEO, how do they know it's time to step back from the day-to-day decisions and at that point, put a succession plan in place?
Well, I mean, from our perspective, we're working with over 200 companies over the last couple of decades. You get to a point where you feel like you don't need to come into the office anymore because you have a well-oiled machine that's running the business without you. You feel like there's that level of freedom where, you look around and you say, well, I used to do that, but that's being handled by so-and-so. I used to do that, that's being handled by so-and-so. So in order for that to happen, now I feel confident that this organization is going to run without me. And I have the opportunity at a point in my life where, I want to step back, enjoy my family, enjoy travel, enjoy whatever hobbies that I have, maybe get my golf game going or whatever, and, become a single-digit handicapper. But, whatever it might be, but the first trigger is that I need to feel confident that the team can run without me. And once that happens, I feel pretty good about being able to step down or step aside.
Michael, you have any input?
I think Mark said it, whether you're working on your golf game or I say it a different way. When you put your head down on the pillow at night, what's clogging your brain or what's keeping you up? And when a founder can put his or her head down on their respective pillows at night and nothing in the business is worrying them, it's time to have that conversation to go.
Excellent.
I should say not time to go, but maybe step back from those day-to-day type of decisions, because as much as the founder and owner and CEO is valued, you've built a team that you should take pride in and have confidence in that your legacy is going to be continued, even though you're not involved on that day-to-day decision basis.
Yeah, and the idea here is that they should have built a team that is self-governing, if you will. But the flip side of that is, and maybe Mark can talk about this, is for a lot of founder, owner, CEOs, their life is, centered around, what they do, do with their companies, their roles, etc. It becomes their purpose. And so how do they overcome that part? How do they remove themselves from their day-to-day activities in the company becoming their purpose?
Well, it's an emotional decision, and sometimes people have their I and their R flipped around. The I is your identity. I mean, it's who you are in God's eyes, and oftentimes people think that it's their role. I mean, a lot of times people will ask them, well, "What do you do?" And instead of saying, "Well, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a whatever," they talk about their business as though they're married to it. And the emotional change that needs to take place when they step away from that business is that that's no longer their role. Their role is no longer CEO of this company. Their role is now what their identity ought to be. And that is a very, very, you can't trivialize or minimize that impact. It's pretty substantial. And so, that's one of the things that I think is probably the most difficult aspect of letting go of a business, even in an ESOP, where you're selling it to the employees. Stepping aside, a lot of times they created it, it's theirs. They look at it as they birthed this thing, and they're not as apt to want to let it go as you may think. It's not about the money, it's about control. And it's a psychological conversation, emotional conversation.
Yeah, and I think part of that transition is there has to be something else that fills that gap of purpose that's probably external to the company. And so, part of what we do at eXitSystems is we do have strategic alliances with partners who come in and help with that psychological transition and preparation for the future, because there has to be preparation in place, or it is really, really difficult for that leader to let go.
Yep.
So last question. When leadership and culture aren't aligned, how does it show up from a buyer conversation standpoint?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a great question. We see it often. Unfortunately, it's not even. Sometimes the leadership team is not aligned with each other. So, when a buyer comes in, they can see that misalignment. And what we try to do is we get in there and talk to the leadership team sometimes first about making sure that they're on the same page. They're singing from the same sheet of music, because if they're not, it will come out very, very clearly to the buyer. Because the buyer, like a deposition, the buyer, if he's doing his or her job right, they'll go in and interview each of the leaders individually, maybe collectively, but also individually. And if they hear different language coming out of the mouths of the leadership team, that's a red flag. I mean, it's going to say, listen, I cannot get involved or purchase an organization where the leadership team is, on different pages, or they're not in the boat rowing in the same direction. Or worse yet, everyone's in the boat and there's 6 people rowing that way and one guy's rowing the other way. So, yeah, it's a big red flag. It's a very difficult thing to overcome. Sometimes it's impossible, but it's definitely when you're a buyer, you have walkaway power. You just say, listen, I can't get involved with this organization unless they're all on the same page.
Understood. Michael, any input?
I mean, you also find it when buyers are doing due diligence on clients or customers. Talk to us about the leadership team. Talk to us about the account executives. Who are you working with at the particular company? And if those conversations are also fragmented, similar to what Mark just mentioned, that also raises one or more flags related to the culture and leadership alignment, or more likely misalignment.
Great. Yeah, so thank you guys for your engagement, your questions, or for your answers to the questions. And it's very, to me, it's one of those areas that can be easily overlooked. When you talk about leadership, talk about team, you talk about the culture, it can be easily overlooked as an area that creates health within a company, and that health then translates to additional value that the company is worth. And that value then affects, the exit, the sale of a company. But first and foremost, the work has to be done in order to create a healthy culture. Regardless if someone is looking to sell within the next 12 months or in the next 10 years, a healthy culture will dictate how far the company actually goes in many ways. Again, just want to thank everyone who has attended today. Thank the panelists for your input and your wisdom, insight, and just the knowledge you have from the experiences, not only experiences, but just from what you have built over the years in terms of interacting with companies, leaders, and so forth. So, but if you want to know more about where your company stands, we invite you to take our Value Atlas diagnostic. It's only a few questions, has big insights that you'll get out of that. And I will drop the link into chat, I believe. And yeah, so I'll drop the link into the chat where you can actually interact with this diagnostic, and it really takes less than 5 minutes in most cases, because you know your business and you know the things that drive your business and make your business valuable or not. But what happens from the roadmap that you actually receive from this diagnostic is it reveals challenges, it reveals your strengths, it reveals the things that you should work on in order to grow and scale your business, and ultimately to exit, but first and foremost to grow and to scale. So please take the diagnostic, and it's no cost, there's no obligation after that as well, and the roadmap is yours to keep and to use and to leverage to your benefit. So thanks again to the panelists, thanks again to guests, and you guys have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Charles.
Charles, bye everybody.
You're welcome. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.